Hi guys! So we're gonna keep going with our read aloud from The Tiger Rising, and we are on chapter 21. And yesterday we ended with chapter 20, and it ended like this. Sistine cried and cried. She cried as if she would never stop, and she did not tell him to take his hand away. So our two main characters, they are pretty close in the story. They have a really good relationship with each other because they trust each other a lot. And they both have experienced different types of sorrow and sadness in their life. So I feel like they definitely understand each other, and they're kind of different than the other kids. Just different enough for them to be really, really good friends. So here's chapter 21. By the time they started walking back to the Kentucky Star, it was dusk. And remember, dusk means that it's getting dark. Sistine was not crying, but she wasn't talking either, not even about letting the tiger go. "I have to call my mom," she said to him in a tired voice when they got to the motel. "I'll go with you," said Rob. She didn't tell him not to, so he walked with her across the parking lot. They were almost to the laundry room when Willie Mae materialized out of the purple darkness. So she suddenly just appeared. And they're saying the purple darkness because, well, it's the sky and it's dark out. And they're saying purple because it's kind of that time when the sun is setting, so it's like a different color. She was leaning up against her car. "Boo," she said to Rob. "Hey," he told her back. "Somebody following you?" she said, jerking her head at Sistine. This is Sistine," Rob told her. And then he turned to Sistine and said, "This is Willie Mae, the one I was telling you about, the one who had the bird and let it go." "So what?" said Sistine. "So nothing," said Willie Mae. Her glasses winked in the light from the falling Kentucky Star. "So I had me a bird." "Why are you hanging around in the parking lot trying to scare people?" Sistine asked, her voice hard and mean. "I ain't trying to scare anybody," said Willie Mae. "Willie Mae works here," said Rob. "That's right," said Willie Mae. She reached into the front pocket of her dress and pulled out a package of 8-ball gum. "You know what?" she said to Sistine. "I know you. You ain't got to introduce yourself to me. You angry. You got all the anger in the world inside of you. I know anger when I meet it. Been angry most of my life." "I'm not angry," Sistine snapped. "All right," said Willie Mae. She opened the package of the 8-ball. "You an angry liar, then. Here you go." She held out a stick of gum to Sistine. Sistine stared for a long minute at Willie Mae, and Willie Mae stared back. The last light of dusk disappeared, and the darkness moved in. Rob held his breath. He wanted desperately for the two of them to like each other. When Sistine finally reached out and took the gum from Willie Mae, he let his breath go in the quiet. Whoosh. Willie Mae nodded to Sistine, and then she extended the pack to Rob. He took a piece and put it in his pocket for later. Willie Mae laughed. Ain't that just like God," she said, "throwing the two of you together." She shook her head. I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but that's my cat. "Rory." If she hears somebody outside, she just sits by the door and scratches and wants them to come say hi to her. I'll continue. "Ain't that just like God," she said, "throwing the two of you together." She shook her head. "This boy full of sorrow, keeping it down in his legs, and you," she pointed at Sistine, "you all full of anger." It ain't snapping out you like lightning. Use some pear, that's the truth. She put her arms over her head and stretched, and then straightened up and stepped away from the car. Sistine stared at Willie Mae with her mouth open. How tall are you? She asked. 6'2", said Willie Mae, and I gotta get home. But first, I got some advice for you. I already gave this boy some advice. You ready for yours? Sistine nodded, her mouth still open. This is it. Ain't nobody going to come and rescue you, said Willie Mae. She opened the car door and sat down behind the wheel. You gotta rescue yourself. You understand what I mean? Sistine stared at Willie Mae. She said nothing. Willie Mae cranked the engine. Rob and Sistine watched her drive away. I think she's a prophetess, said Sistine. A what? Rob said. A prophetess, said Sistine. They're painted all over the Sistine ceiling. They're women who God speaks through. So she's saying like a prophecy. But a prophetess is someone who tells something. They kind of, like she said, God talks through them. So they're saying something, like they're telling something through that person, and the prophecy is something that's usually predicted, or it's religious, if that made any sense. Oh, said Rob, a prophetess. He turned the word over in his mouth. Prophetess, he said again. He nodded. That sounded right. If God was going to talk through somebody, it made sense to Rob that he would pick Willie Mae. That's the end of our chapter. Willie Mae, for those of you who don't know, or if you don't remember, Willie Mae is someone who works at the Kentucky Star, which is the motel, and she is kind of like a, janitor or a maid, someone who keeps up with things and cleans. So that's Willie Mae. But yeah, the author is saying, she's saying something good about Willie Mae. So the author who wrote this was Kate DiCamillo. She is saying this in like the best way possible, saying that she's a prophetess, because in order for us to understand how this character is, it's someone who usually has a lot of knowledge and they know quite a bit. So the author is saying that, without telling us, that Willie Mae is very knowledgeable, she's wise, she's pretty smart, and she has things to say that people just end up kind of going along with and believing, because she's just one of those people that you kind of just trust. You trust them even if you don't know them super well. It's just one of those people. So my question for you at the end of this video, for your response back, is why do you think Willie Mae is there? I mean, she works at this hotel, but why do you think she was put there? Probably for a reason, but why do you think that her and Rob, their paths crossed for a reason? Why do you think she was put there in Rob's life? And how does she connect to the story? Why is she important? Tell me what you think. So why do you think Willie Mae is important? Why is she in Rob's life?